Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Aussi's Drives. Today we're standing right next to an absolute unicorn that shouldn't even be here. A massive car with a V12 diesel engine.
V12 diesel engine?
That came straight from Le Mans. But before we start, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Let's begin. Before we start talking about the Q7 V12, we have to talk about the origins of how this came to life. So basically in 2006, Audi had an incredible idea to take a diesel engine and go drive Le Mans with it. Everybody thought they were mad, even Audi people thought they were mad, but turns out they were actually right. Winning 3 races in just 3 years, proving that the V12 diesel was one of the most efficient and fastest engines and robust. Now the interesting thing is, it wasn't enough, right? Somewhere 2009 they stopped driving this car, they had to bring out the latest models and they thought, hey, we never used that Le Mans engine, that V12 TDI in a car. So the original idea is to put it into an R8. Yes, you heard that right. They actually took the V12 and put it into the R8 in a mid-engine layout just to find out that it doesn't fit. It was too big, too heavy, too complicated, and actually the journalist driving it didn't really like it. Should the engineers just throw that idea of a V12 in a production car into the bin? No. After probably smoking around 20 cigarettes, they came to the final conclusion. Hey, let's put that big massive engine into the Q7. And that's how this unicorn was born. Talking about the engine, let me pop the hood and show you what this machine is all about. This is the craziest idea I've ever heard. They put a massive V12 engine into this little frame here. It barely fit. They had to rebuild the whole front. The front axle had to be rebuilt just to fit this thing, and it has 500 horsepower and 1,000 Newton meters of torque. Imagine, 6 liters of displacement. They couldn't even sell it in the US because emissions and stuff. Logically, it's terror for the environment, but it's goddamn cool. Have a listen. If we just have a quick look what the competitors were doing, this was one of the craziest ideas ever heard in the automotive history. I mean, the X5 didn't have the M back then, and the ML had a 6.2 liter V8, but it was a petrol engine. Fitting a 500 horsepower 6 liter diesel into a car like this was absolutely unheard of. And that's why they built only a few hundreds. The actual numbers of how much they built never really came out. And the craziest thing is, this thing had a starting price of $180,000, man. A Porsche Cayenne Turbo back then had a starting price of $105,000. Imagine. And the craziest thing I heard is, since this was from some sort of Russian gangster, it had a whopping price of $300,000 back then. Imagine. And I can tell you why. Let's go to the interior. This might be one of the craziest interiors I've ever seen in a car. I can't even explain what that feels like, okay? You're sitting in this couch-like Bentley-style big SUV V12 diesel. It doesn't make any sense. It's one of the greatest mistakes Audi has ever done. It's just beautiful to be in this unicorn. We have leather here, that some sort carbon fiber frame style of it. I mean, look at that. It looks like it's made out of carbon fiber. We will find the same thing in the back seats, which is really interesting to look at. Another interesting thing is the stitchings that they use. Look at that. I've never seen that in a Q7. And then if that wasn't enough, the whole door frame here is also in that same leather style. Also with nice stitchings, but in the contrast color. So it looks very cool. Then we have some actual carbon fiber here around the gearbox, which is also very interesting. And then obviously on the door to just put the cherry on the top, right? The whole dashboard is leather, and this is bespoke made for the owner actually, and I don't even know what that is. The whole roof liner is Alcantara, logically. Also beautiful stitchings on the roof liner. It's just crazy to be in. We have a Bang & Olufsen sound system. We have a leather steering wheel, a speedometer that goes to 310 kph, and then obviously you got the normal stuff. You got your Climate control down here, you have your little screen, you even have a reverse camera from a car in 2009. It's a lot of fun to be in. But let's go to the back seats. And as you can see, I have plenty of space in the back, which you need because you're going to drive this car on some very forbidden missions with 4 or 5 people that are massively armed. But you will also find some luxurious things in the back row. Climate control, 12-volt ports, right? And then obviously look at that, a little screen here. It's a great car to be in. And it feels pretty modern. The exterior doesn't disappoint. Look at this massive ship behind me. Broad shoulders, a beautiful face, and look at that. Look at that. Frame here, very nice big grille openings to cool the engine, some fat LED strips, and it looks actually pretty handsome. This didn't age badly, you know, it's a nice looking car still to this day. If we come here, you will see this is a very heavy car with 2.6 tons of dry weight and 1,000 Newton meters of torque. It had to be stopped. That's why Audi developed carbon ceramic brakes to be able to stop this thing. I mean, this is one of the first carbon ceramic brakes they ever put on an SUV, and it's absolutely crazy to think of. All of those extensions and bodywork, even the spoiler here, came out of factory. It was a cooperation with ABT. This is insane stuff, man. And then look at the rear end. It still looks nice. Fat 2 exhaust pipes, a nice looking car. However, there's a big drawback. Maintenance was an absolute disaster. It is so expensive to maintain, starting with the engine. Since this is such a big machine that has never been built with any other car, just by Audi, it will fail quite often, all right? The turbos like to fail, the injectors like to fail, and if that wasn't enough, the fuel consumption is horrendous, which you will expect, right? Since this is a massive 2.6 ton ship, dry weight, obviously the air suspension will fail at some point, which is absolutely normal. It will bleed your pockets very deeply. Customers have also reported that there's a lot of things going wrong with the electronics and some issues with the gearbox. Yes, 1,000 Newton meters of torque will probably break your gearbox at one point. But to be honest, if you were able to afford one of these in the biggest financial crisis that was ever recorded to mankind, you didn't give a shit if anything is going to break, right? All right, friends, all right, we are driving the Audi Q7 V12 TDI, a car that has a race car engine basically in it, but it probably drives like a Bentley. Now on the first meters, one of the more comfortable cars I'm driving, right? It's really, really comfortable to sit in. It doesn't feel sporty at all, to be honest. And you would never tell that it has a V12 engine in it. It actually drives like a very beautiful, solid V8 maybe. You would never think that this has such a phenomenal, incredible designed and very complicated engine in it. Just hovering around, you would actually never tell that this should be any sort of sporty, but it actually is. If you put the car into dynamic mode, it will harden the suspension and it will become something completely different. Now, let us just give it a little bit of a good go. I am in sport. 3, 2, 1. Wah! You can really tell it's pushing. It feels very powerful, especially in the lower RPM ranges. 2,000 to 4,000 is crazy, but it doesn't feel any dangerous. I'm telling you, like, wow. It's just this, you know, the sensation of turbochargers pushing and just moving it forward, you know? And you can really tell that it's a very, very strong engine that's capable of pulling, and not particularly a fast engine, you know? That's what I think is strange. This is a very heavy car, 2.6 tons, but you feel like it could pull even 2, 3 of it, you know? Just pushing, you know, really hard, really strong. It's not fast, it's just elegantly moving forward. That is something very interesting that I noticed here. You know, they say it should go from 0 to 100 kph in 5.5 seconds. And pow! Whoa! Holy shit, man. Actually had wheel spin in a 2.6 ton car. So now we're pushing ESP to off-road mode. So let's do that one more time. Bam! Yeah! Yeah! Oh my God! Wheel spin! Wheel spin! Front and back wheels were spinning. I must say, it's not what you would expect it to be, okay? When you hear the numbers, fat V12 TDI engine, you know, 500 horsepower, 1000 Newton meters of torque, you expect it to move a little bit faster. I can understand why critics said it should be special on paper, but it's actually not that special to drive. I'll be completely honest. This thing is here just for the pure flex of having a V12 TDI. There is no benefit of it. It's not reliable. It's not fuel efficient, even though it's a diesel. It's just brutal. It's just here to flex. That's why they made it. That's why this thing cost 180,000 when it came out new, right? And it was basically a sales disaster. But was it cool? Absolutely, yes. Do I love it? Yes, I do. Should you buy it? Hell no. And that's it, friends, for our Audi Q7 V12 TDI review. A true masterpiece. A car that is really a success. It's a madman, and we should really be happy for Audi having the balls to actually produce it. I mean, if you see one of these on the road, or if you want to be one of the glorious owners to drive one of these, make sure to check out the link in the description. This car is actually for sale. That's why it's going into this garage, to be prepared to the absolute fullest, so it looks brand new. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you. See you on the next one.